In this case, we want to go the other direction. We've given you the curve that we're interested in, and we're looking for a parameterization of that curve. So we want to find the parameterization and sketch each one. In part A, this is a line, but we don't want the whole line. We want a part of the line. So we want to go from the point 2, -1 to the point 0, 3. So I'll put the arrowhead in there to indicate the direction that I want to go. So anytime that I'm looking for a parameterization, especially for a line, one thing is for sure. I can start with the parameterization where I just rename x, essentially. So I'm going to call x t instead of x, and then y becomes -2t plus 3. Let's see what happens to our t values, though. I want to start from t equals 2, because that's the start point, and I want to keep going with this parameterization until t equals 0, and that's the end point. The problem, as you'll see, is that that means I'm moving from 2 to 0, which is the opposite direction that we're used to going in. So let's see if we can find a different parameterization. Honestly, you could find infinitely many such parameterizations for any particular curves. So let's see if we can find a different way to do the parameterization so that we're starting at point 1 and ending at point 2. And so that t is going from a start point to an end point that's to its right. So one way I like to start these kind of lines is to say, well, what point do I want to start at? I want to start at the point 2, -1. So we'll fill that in for x and y. And then I want to move toward 0, 3. Now, if you look at the change in x, so delta x to end at 0 and start at 2 would be -2. And delta y to end at 3 and start at -1 would be a change of +4. So to go from point 1 to point 2, x moves -2 and y moves 4. So I'm going to use that. On the x coordinate here, the parameterization will become the starting x value of 2 and then plus -2t. The y coordinate will start at -1 and then plus 4t. And let's see, if t equals 0, we get the point 2, -1 exactly like we want. And if t equals 1, then we'll get the point 2 plus -2, which gives me 0. And y, when t equals 1, will become -1 plus 4, which gives me 3. And so that checks of where I want to end. I think this is the easiest way to parameterize a line, is to let x and y start with the point that we're starting at, and then add some multiple of t, where the multiple of t is the change in x and the change in y accordingly for where I want to go from that start point.